Cloud. He's the CTO and founder, and he's going to do a little demo on how Nirvana Cloud works, how you can launch an Avalanche node, and to give you a little background on Nirvana Labs. Before we start, however, I want to thank our sponsors again, including Nirvana, for making this hackathon happen, along with Avalanche and STC for creating Intersect the network. We want to thank you all again. The next thing I want to tell you guys is this is the links for all our social media and support channels, and you guys can contact us here. Please join the Telegram group if you haven't done that already. Sponsors again, including Nirvana for making this hackathon happen. Sponsors again, along with Avalanche and STC for creating. Sorry, there was a little mistake there. But yeah, so you guys can reach out to us here. Follow us on our Twitter for all the announcements because that's where we're the most active. If you want to watch a recording of this after the workshop is completed, you can find this workshop and all the other workshops we've done before on the YouTube channel. And lastly, if you haven't signed up for the hackathon already and you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter, please do so on our Dora Hacks or on our website, intersect.to. We also have the Pearl Mini Quest live on our Galaxy page. So if you guys want to earn bonus Pearl tokens or AVAX tokens, along with cool giveaways like Avi domain addresses and 3num domains, then please visit our Galaxy page. The quests are live. It just takes 5 minutes. Get involved, get excited about the hackathon, and yeah, win some tokens. Lastly, I want to answer some of your questions from the last workshop. So like, I remember a lot of you guys saying that you were having trouble with building. So I want to say all the testnet details are now live on our Dora Hacks page. So you guys can actually start building. And if you guys want testnet tokens, then please just ping us in the Telegram group. We'll airdrop them to you. And we're going to go live with the faucet as well soon. So before that, you can just ping us. And with that, yeah, I think I'm going to pass it off to Devin.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I can get started talking a little bit about Nirvana Labs and why we're here. So basically, we are a core infrastructure provider for the Web3 space. We saw that there was a lot of reliance on existing cloud platforms in Web3. So we wanted to change that, and not only that, but also provide other Web3 services. So we built our own cloud platform, our own custom hypervisor, networking stack, and storage layer so that we can really cater to Web3 workloads. One of the biggest things that we saw was that bandwidth costs and storage costs were really, really high for Web3 companies. And those are two of the most intensive resources for things like running nodes, indexers, any on-chain data analysis. So we made that our priority. Our storage costs are about 80% cheaper than other cloud providers when you're comparing apples to apples, and our bandwidth costs are significantly less as well. On the other side, our storage speeds are much higher to allow for those really high IOPS intensive workloads such as running nodes. And then on top of that, we run a managed service for RPC nodes. So we run RPC nodes for a number of different chains. We run flex nodes and dedicated nodes. But if you just want to do it yourself in our cloud, you can do that as well. Our ethos is really just to enable builders in the space, make it easier for them to build apps without needing hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure costs. So that's what we're here for. Anything that you'd like to add, or any questions you might have?
No, I think if there are any questions on the Twitter and the YouTube, I'll let them know. Mostly towards the end of I'll collect them and
Okay.
I'll let them know at the end of the workshop. So you can get started.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing two things today. One is creating an Avalanche node from scratch from our cloud VMs, and then two, creating an Avalanche node through our RPC nodes dashboard, which is a bit less involved. So the first way is just like you would be doing it on AWS or GCP. You're creating a virtual machine and it's running Ubuntu, and you're able to SSH in and run all the install commands. and monitor the node that way. And then the second way is we basically do all that work for you, and we create you a URL that has an API key, and you can use that to interface with the RPC nodes and not have to worry about anything under the hood. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so here's our dashboard, our cloud dashboard, and you just need to sign up for an account to get one. And the first thing you'll see is all of our different regions. I'm just going to stick to Washington, D.C. And before you create a VM, the first thing you have to do is create a virtual private cloud, a VPC. This is basically like a segmented network within our cloud that's just for you. You can give it a name, and then you can see clearly the cost. I already have one made, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make this one. So we just give it a second to load, and then we'll have a VPC called Turquoise Bug Porcupine. Um, let's give it a second to load here. And then here's our VPC. And then I can see that this is my subnet range, and then I can add security rules here. So I'm actually going to go back. I have a VPC created already called Maroon Cloud Haddock. And I have a security rule from one of the VMs I already created. Uh, Before we do anything here, when we're creating an Avalanche node, we need to enable port 9651 as a destination port, and we need to open that to the internet so that anybody that has another node, they can peer with ours. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I will go back and go to virtual machines, and I will create a virtual machine under that same VPC. So make sure it's the same region, and then you can give your virtual machine a name. So I'm just going to give it that name, and then I can pick the operating system version. I'm going to go with the latest version of Ubuntu. And then we want to enable the public IP so that you can do node peering. And then we're going to pick that VPC that I just enabled that security rule on. This is going to be the quick select IP. You can put whatever IP you want there, and then you can choose your file, your ID RSA pub key, which this is mine. And then afterwards, you're going to need 8 CPUs, 16 gigs of RAM, and 1,000 gigs of storage. This is what Avalanche recommends to run a node. And you can clearly see the cost of running that node on our cloud. So I'm going to hit create virtual machine, and it's going to start spinning up a virtual machine in Washington, D.C. with 8 CPUs, 16 gigs of RAM, 1,000 gigs of storage with the latest version of Ubuntu running. Now that's going to take a few minutes to provision, but I already have one that's running here that we can go take a look at. So this one to SSH in, I just copy this SSH command, and then I paste it into my terminal. Let me just go back to my terminal here. So here's my terminal, paste that command back in, and then I am now in this node in the VM. So this is a VM in a data center in Washington, D.C. And then I just go to the Avalanche docs and I take their installation command, and I already opened the port that I needed to. So I just press enter. Let me make this a bit bigger. And then it asks a few questions. So is it a residential network or a cloud provider? I'm in the cloud right now, so I pick 2. And then it detected the public IP. I'm just going to double check. And yes, that's the same public IP that's listed in our dashboard. So I press yes. Should this be public or private? I'm going to say public because this is just a demo. And then yes. And then I can pick if I want to state sync or if I don't want to state sync. So I'm just gonna say on. And then now we can see that our Avalanche node is syncing. It's super easy and we're done. So these are new blocks that are syncing. From here, I can just use the IP and open it up to myself or other people using our VPCs. Um, and then I can use it as I would a normal node. The other way to do it is using our RPC nodes, which is a managed service. You don't have to worry about going into Ubuntu, SSHing, doing any of that stuff. You just get a node that you can use. So let me pull that up. So you just go to RPC nodes instead of cloud. We have nodes down here. And you just hit create a node, pick Avalanche, pick mainnet or Fuji, and then um, give it a name. And then the node gets created. It takes about a minute to initialize, but now I have the C-chain API, the info API, X-chain API, all the APIs I would need, and I can just copy this and use it for making any RPC calls I need. From here, I can change my API key if I need to. If I want some other API keys so that people can't see my URL, and then I get some metrics on what's running as well. That's basically the two ways to create an Avalanche node on our platform. One, it gives you more control over the node. You can make adjustments to the config. You can scale the node up and down in terms of CPU and RAM and storage. And then the other way is this way, which is really easy, simple. You can get up and running and just not have to worry about managing your node yourself. We do all of that for you, and we have nodes all over the world that are load balanced behind our CDN. And then if you really need a really beefy node that you don't want to manage, we can do that as well, since we have dedicated nodes that we can provision for you and manage. That's really all is to Nirvana Labs and Nirvana Cloud. I hope you guys enjoy the platform, and if you have any questions, reach out to me on Twitter. It's just Web3Devin, or give our support team a ring using support@nirvanalabs.ai. That's all I have.
Awesome. If that is that all you're gonna talk about?
Yeah, I think that's covers majority of what we uh, have to cover on Avalanche. It's our cloud VMs and our RPC nodes.
Perfect. I think there's a question in the chat if you want to answer that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can. So I just use Avalanche as an example, but you can use whatever node you want in our cloud, as long as it can run on Ubuntu. You can run it in our cloud, and then we support a number of protocols in our RPC nodes. So if you hit create a node, you can see I think 10 different protocols. So if you want us to run it, there's a limit on the chains that we support. But oh, sorry, there's another question. There, yeah, you can run the ones that we support, or you can run any chain you want in our cloud. The code for the Avalanche node is in the Avalanche docs. It is a one-line install, and I can share my screen and show you that as well. Yeah, so I just went here to documentation, install script, and installing Avalanche Go, and I just copied this and I pasted it into my terminal. Any other questions?
If you don't have any questions, then I think yeah, Rahul is saying thank you. Thank you for joining, guys. Some of you guys left already, but Thank you for the workshop, Devin. I appreciate it. It was really cool. It's actually super easy to make Avalanche Node. I thought it was going to be a lot more complicated. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a one-click install, and Avalanche has done a lot of great work to make their installer easy to use comparatively to some other chains. And we really like how streamlined it is, especially on our cloud. It's just a few clicks and you're up and running. Your node's synced within a few hours, and you can get to work. We really want people to just focus on building Web3 apps, and they don't have to, be worried about their underlying infrastructure. That's our job.
okay, perfect. Yeah, super interesting. If you guys want to learn more about Nirvana Cloud, we have their details on our Dora Hacks page as well. And like Devin said, you can contact him on Twitter if you have any questions. If you want to learn more about the Nirvana Cloud prize for the hackathon, then you can do that on our Dora Hacks page as well. And yeah, we're super excited to see what you guys build, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you guys.